As we keep saying, one of the incredible things about this genre-free project is just how diverse it is. It seems that we got six completely different acts, and in the case of Fredrick and the Golden Dawn, we have the brainchild of just one man, and that man is Kevin Nolan. So for people who've never heard about Fredrick and the Golden Dawn, just what the hell is it?
I guess it's me and my ideas of what music I'd like to make, and then failing to do that, and left over with what I have, which are the songs that I've come up with so far, and which will eventually go on my debut album. So.
And for people who may have heard not even a single note of your music, what kind of stuff is it?
Well, what kind of stuff is it? I suppose maybe a quick and crude definition maybe would be in a sort of time changes that wouldn't be readily kind of ready to some ears. Some ears might find them jarring time signatures. They're not your average time signature. And then there would be vocal would be either big vocal, quite a big, a big part of the music is the vocal. So you sort of have the vocal and the strange time signatures, and the rest is just kind of anecdote in between,
It's interesting, from the outside looking in, there appears to be a very specific narrative at play, and you don't see it that often in music. I know Bill Ryder-Jones left the choral recently to work on his own material, and he recently kind of provided a soundtrack for a very old Italian novel. What inspires you? Who do you kind of draw from?
I draw from a lot of leading men, really. I suppose just all the main, what I would call the big guys, the serious guys like Beefheart, Scott Walker, Tom Waits, Leonard Cohen, Bob Dylan, Nick Cave. These are the kind of guys I kind of draw from for my lyrics and vocal.
Was it tough to narrow it down to pick two tracks for this project, and which two did you go with and why?
Okay, well, no, it wasn't hard at all, because I had recorded them myself, and I knew, this would never be the end for them. They weren't, sometimes when you publish something, it's over. The work is done, it's kind of finished, and the finishing is in the publishing. But I knew these songs weren't over, they weren't finished, because the recordings were so bad, really. I did them myself on a little 8-track, I used the thing like a calculator, because I'm not very efficient. When these guys came along and told me what they were willing to do, I was overjoyed, and I knew finally that these two songs were going to find a home. As I say, I just didn't have sufficient recordings myself, and I felt that these also were the most mainstream songs that I have.
Yeah, in that regards, because obviously when you're releasing stuff to the public, outside of your own yet to be heard debut album, alongside other bands as well, I guess that must be tricky. So how do you think these will stand up next to, for example, like the kind of 2.5 minute explosions of Kid Karate, and the kind of soulful songster stylings of Izzy Quinn?
I don't really know what you mean by stand up against. I don't think they don't. I don't. It sounds like there's competition there or something, which I don't see. Wouldn't see that way. I suppose if there was an element of competition there, I think my ones would maybe grab a kind of a listener that's obviously not looking for something a little outside the is looking for something a little outside the mainstream. Really somebody like me, because I like the music. I make the music that I like, and I like various artists that I've just mentioned, and anyone who's into all of them, I'm hoping will see how I came up with this conclusion.
You talked before about Vibrations of the Soul. What does that mean?
Oh, that's a book of poetry I published just in January, and I was a collaboration with an artist, John Nolan, and he did the art abstracts, and I wrote a series of poems, and it was published. And yeah, so we're working all the way through this year trying to get that out and reviewed and in shops and all the various things you do with this is my first book published.
I've used the term narrative probably a bit too much, but it does seem to be kind of an overarching story to what you're doing with your music.
A general overarching story. I think I don't know what it is. But narrative is generally very important in the songs individually. A whole story, overarching, trying to all encapsulating unity. I don't know what that is, other than this is what I'm doing and this is what I intend to continue doing. You know, until I'm Leonard Cohen's age or Tom Waits' age, and this is just what I'm going to do. That's my story. My story is just kind of an unwillingness to do anything but what I'm doing.
So no compromise.
Well, that's a dangerous question. That is a dangerous question. No compromise. I mean, when you say no compromise, and then you say accept this, you've already compromised. So it's a hard one. I don't know. I think I'll shy away from that word and just say I'll always be sympathetic to the cause.